Hi, welcome to ArtCollab with Sarah and Nat.
And Nat and Sarah.
So this is our first episode, which we are calling The Beginning. And I thought I'm going to pass the torch to Sarah right away, because that's how I am. How did we meet and why did we do this ArtCollab thing?
Well, and speaking of Pass the Torch, we came together in the Pass the Brush challenge. So we were paired up with for I guess how were we paired up? I think Rachel Bellamy is the one who came up with this, and she paired us up, and the goal was that I would take over Nat's page for what was it, 3 days or 2 days? 2 days.
Yeah, maybe it was a week. I'm not sure anymore. You seem super prepared.
It was 2 days. It was 2 days. And I remember sending you like a whole long list of things to post at certain times. And through our conversations, we did like a lot of different Zoom calls and FaceTimes, and we like hit it off. And then when we did our Instagram live, where we just talked for 45 minutes, where Nat asked me lots of questions, and I didn't ask any questions. She asked me questions. That's right. And you see, you got me up here talking first.
Well, it was about, Pass the Brush was about emphasizing, our Black sisters and brothers in art.
Yeah.
Because that was quite shortly after we're, as you can tell, we're not prepared. But it was
the George Floyd. It was
exactly
thing. And Rachel, God bless her, she was, I guess, trying to figure out a way to amplify melanin. That's what it's called, amplify melanin voices. So she found, I think, 100 African American female artists, and she would go through the page, scroll up and down, and just meditate on that person, and then she would post a little synopsis about them on her page. And she did that for weeks, I believe, and people started to notice and wanted to understand, how do we miss this? How did we not know that there were these artists out there using these products and making things? And so she basically shined a light on us. And as a result, they put together me and Nat, and we collabed and did our Instagram live, and which was amazing. And we hit it off, and people really resonated with our conversation. So then we started talking more, and then we haven't done it recently because we've been so busy, but we used to do our little art days, our art play dates, and we'd talk and laugh and joke, and you're like, you know what, we can do a podcast. We should do a podcast. And I'm like, yeah, we should, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, you were like totally onto that podcast. Actually, you were the one who had that idea. You were like, let's do a podcast. And I was like, well, I had thought about it in the past, but I don't know. I do like collaborations anyway. And, I felt like this would be such a great idea to do it together. And then from just having the podcast and discussing how you do it, I think at some point we were like, actually, that was also you. You were like, we should do it on Zoom. And then I said, we could make it a ZoomCast so that people have different possibilities. So we are thinking about, well, you can watch it as a video, but you can also do it as an audio as a podcast. And we thought there would be maybe in the future a third option where you can Zoom in live.
Yeah.
And then ask us questions at the end of the conversation or whatever we're going to share with you and talk about. So that's why we call it a ZoomCast, right?
Yes, and it's ArtCollab.
Exactly, ArtCollab. Which is interesting. We talked a little bit about it beforehand, but I like to collaborate with other people because I think it's like really so interesting to hear about others, other ideas, and it really inspires me to work with other people, especially since this is such a solitude thing to do, making art, right? Um, and now with the pandemic, I feel it's like so much nicer to actually have this your art tribe and the people that you like. But also like I learned so much about you and like what we do have in common and what we don't, what are the differences, right? I think it's like so important to learn about it. And the other thing I just wanted to mention about collaborations, I've always admired this kind of like New York school thing where, you know, in the 60s or 40s, 50s, 60s, people would be in New York City would collaborate with art, whether they are painters or poets or dancers, you know, and they would do projects together, but also give ideas. And I asked you, Sarah, before how you feel about collabs. I mean, we do it, but you said some really interesting things about it, especially art school and stuff.
Yeah, so, when I first approached, collaborations with other artists when I was in school, I kind of like viewed it as like a group project, I really dislike group projects because it's always a couple of people doing everything and everyone else is just, riding on the coattails of those people. And so it was hard because I didn't understand the people that I was working with. And I think that's what we get out of our interactions together is because we're finding out who each other are. And then that helps us do better collaborations because we understand. If you don't know the person, then you don't know how to collaborate with them. And so maybe that's something that, as we progress with our actual Zoomcast, that we will encourage people to get to know, you know, that artist friend and then do the collaboration. It will help.
Yeah, and I think there's still some like, I mean, we don't know each other that long, right? Like there's still like some things that are I remember the first time actually we did a real art collaboration was during the Pass the Brush thing where we each sent each other. If you haven't followed it, you can see it still on Instagram. I think we both uploaded it in our profiles as an IGTV video, but we sent each other like a background, and I think the only thing we said was how big it is supposed to be. I think we said letter size paper.
Yes.
Start with a background, and then we sent each other the background, and we progressed from there. And I don't know how you felt about it, but I was a little bit. I felt it was intimidating because we were just getting to know each other and we were talking about some very deep topics, of course, right? And then like, what is this gonna be? And then I get Sarah's beautiful print, and I'm like, I don't want to screw this up. What am I gonna do on this? Like, there was this like respect as I don't want to push this totally away. It needs to be there. And also it's so beautiful by itself. I don't know. I don't want to ruin it. How do I put my mark on it though, as well? So it was a little bit daunting in the beginning. How did you feel about it?
Um, I just felt like when I received your artwork, I was like, this is done. What am I supposed to do with this? I said, well, I'm just gonna add some Sarah Flair on top of there, add some, ketchup or hot sauce and go with it and see what happens.
It reminded me of Do you know that I was once in the Andy Warhol Museum in Philadelphia, or I don't know, Pittsburgh, I think it is, not Philadelphia. Sorry, guys. Starts with a P, you know. But there was a lot of work that Andy Warhol and Basquiat
Yes.
actually did together, and I was in awe. I loved this so much because on the one hand they were so different, but then on the other hand they were so close to each other in the way how they made art.
Mm-hmm.
And though I thought it was so cool, and I was always intrigued to know, like, how did that conversation go, or how would you like be like, I'm gonna put something on this Basquiat, you know, like you're like, right?
No, I'm gonna be over in the corner. Y'all do your thing. I'm not.
Right, I'm not touching this, right?
Woo! But they were hearing in each other and respected each other, and he just did it. That's a testament to their relationship. So
Yeah, that was amazing, and I think that was I think like for like exchanging art, I guess it's like you have to be confident about that. You don't want to overpower. That's one thing, right? You don't want to overpower the other person's art. You want to make sure that both hands are like visible and complement each other.
right.
Which doesn't mean that you have to do the very same style of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we took it a little bit further for this, and we were like, well, again, it was Sarah's idea, actually. You know, I'm just the one who's like, but you had this idea of making a board book, and that each of us is filling part of the page, right?
Yes. Yes. So then it becomes a collaborative book, even though we weren't together. And I was curious to see what would happen if we did this. And so we each ordered our books on Amazon and filled our half the book out and sent it to each other. And so it was like Christmas when I got yours. Because I was like, I wonder what's in it. I wonder what's in it. And then you look at it, and I actually didn't fill it out for a while. I just kept looking at it and trying to figure out, how I'm going to respond to what Nathalie had put in the book. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience. So we actually have the books here. And do we want to go ahead and?
Yeah, I thought it would be fun for our first episode to kind of like share first, because okay, so the thing is, we still haven't seen what the other person did to our books, right? So Sarah still has my book, she filled it, and vice versa. I have Sarah's book, and I filled it, but we haven't seen what the other person has done with it. So part of the Zoomcast today is we're gonna reveal, but we first want to show what each of us has done to the book, and tell a little bit what the thought was. So the thing was, we decided to make a book, and we decided to fill it with the beginning, but we had no rules. We had no topics. We didn't say, what's going to go in there. No material. We didn't talk about materials, techniques, anything. We were free to do whatever we wanted to do, right? So Sarah, why don't you share the beautiful book start that you made with us?
So the main theme of this book, if I remember correctly, is the stamp that I had carved, Good Trouble. This was shortly after John Lewis had passed away. And his quote really resonated with me. Because sometimes I feel like I hide my gifts, or I don't outwardly show my whole entire self. So this was my way of pushing myself to get in some good trouble, essentially. So this is one. So this is the actual quote. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. And I used a couple of my art filmings that I designed for this, and then just a regular brayer, like a regular brayer. I use, let me see what you can see. Yeah, I use this to mark up the pages with different colors. I also use Posca pens and just, filled it up with color. It was like American flag themed as I was making this. Yeah. So the next one, our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. So this is another set of art films that I printed along with the brayer. I also did some, what do you call it, ghost prints onto the actual quotes using one of my art films as well for this one too. And then never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. John Lewis. And then I used my Black Lives Matter art foamies, again, Posca pens, lots of brayering, different colors. I wanted to be really free and not constrained by anything, because I think that's what, I don't know, what he is trying to say, not be constrained by rules. You need to be able to say what you mean what you say, and basically make sure people understand that you are important and that your life matters. So that's why I ended it with the Black Lives Matter.
When I got Sarah's book, it was just really amazing to hold it in my hand. I mean, you see, it's right here. Okay. So when I got the book, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I forgot when we sent it out, but it was in November, I guess, or
Yeah.
October.
It was before the election.
Right. So, I had it in my hand. I was very touched by it too. And I had all kinds of thoughts of what I would wanted to do with it. Like, I was like, well, should I, add maybe a quote from some of the resistance fighters, or people like Bonhoeffer, who was a priest in Germany during World War II and was actually killed by the Nazis, and he wrote a lot of letters, and there's a book that I just read about him, and he did say a lot of wonderful quotes about not being quiet in a time of where it's important to say something. And I had all these thoughts of what I would do with it, but I wasn't sure what would actually be the right thing to add to the book. And it took me a lot of time until actually the inauguration. And when I saw Amanda Gorman at the inauguration, with her beautiful, beautiful poem, I thought this would be the right thing to add to this book. I think those two, it was for me like, young and old, both activists in their own way. And her, what she said just touched me so deeply. So I'm not even going to read it really, because I cannot be Amanda Gorman by saying her beautiful words. But maybe. So I took a part of her, the last, like the end of her poem, and it said, "So let us leave behind a country better than the one that we were left with. Every breath from my bronze pounded chest, we will rise this wounded world into a wondrous one." Sorry for my accent, guys, but that's what it is. So I used, also I tried to do it in a little bit, not the same style, but kind of like very loose, made a background, and then added some of my art foamy stems, but also some marks, with a brush and stems. And then this continues. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the west. We will rise from the windswept northeast. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked south. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover every corner called our country, of our nation, and every known nook, and our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge, battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we are brave enough to see it, if only we are brave enough to be it. So, be the light is the end. So, it's like good trouble and be the light. That's how I finished the book. Sorry, I'm not so good in reading the poem, but you gotta watch Amanda Gorman. She can do it better.
It's beautiful, Nathalie.
Oh, Sarah.
It's so good.
Oh.
I didn't think it would make me cry, but wow, that was amazing.
Oh. Oh.
I love it.
Now you make me cry too.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I think for me it was such a, from the, I don't know, it was such a climax. And I felt that book, like putting those two poems together for me was like a natural thing to do, from where that came from in the moment, how I felt about things being, to how I felt, listening to the words of Amanda Gorman. Yeah. So I thought they need to be together.
It's so good. So good.
Aw. Well, it's gonna go in the mail. Back to you soon.
Awesome. All right. So is it my turn? Oh, no, you have to show what you did.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so I thought, because, we were still in this stage of getting to know each other, and every time we would have our Zoom calls and play dates, we would be like, oh, I like elephants. I like elephants too, and we would find out things about, ourselves that we have in common and we don't. And I thought it would be fun to kind of like list maybe some things. Some things were obvious, but some things are not, And I thought, how about we share some stuff, random stuff about ourselves, and see what we have in common or not. And so I did this actually by gel printing. Most of the pages were gel printed backgrounds with stems. And then I added some collage at some of them. So, oops. Oh, okay. So I didn't know if Sarah would know I'm also half Italian. My father was Italian, so I did that. Did a peeled off wallpaper look like background here with some stamps and stencils. And then I've had found this like really old stamp in Germany. It's actually a metal stamp, and Sarah and I had talked about, how you can use it even without having like a real press for it. So I tried that, and I love stamps. I kind of like knew that Sarah probably will say that too. And then that I love art books. So I did a little magazine print of monoprint of a book with Basquiat on there, and the Book of Symbols, and like grunge too. I should edit that there too. And I love old wallpaper, which is a random thing, but it's random stuff, so it had to be in the book, right? And I do not like kale. Again, very random. And I wonder sometimes who does. So, and of course, I love city life, and that was a carved stamp that I did a long time ago that I added here to the page, and that's it. That's what I sent Sarah.
All right, so this is the cover that Nathalie put together. And essentially, I just answered the questions, or not a question, but I kind of like took what she said and kind of put myself into it. So where it says, Nat is half Italian, Sarah is 89% African. And here's why I know this. It's because I did the Ancestry DNA. I am also 5% Irish. I didn't put it on here, 5% Irish. So, and there's a whole other thing, a whole long list of other things. So, but the funny thing is about the Ancestry DNA is from time to time when they get what they call, I guess, more precise, they update the numbers. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this has changed before. So right now, as of right this second, I can say, based on a probability, that I'm 89% African. But I my the stamp that I carved, the scallop stamp like yours. And then I layered it. So it's actually going one direction and going this direction. And then I added the little bullseyes on there.
Very cool.
And then the second one, it says Nat loves stamps. And then 3, Sarah loves making stamps and layering them. So this is one stamp that I layered, starting with yellow, going all the way up to magenta and then blue, and just mixed it up.
So cool.
For the next one, Nat loves art books, Sarah loves artist books. So I used my love stamp in different directions, 3 different colors. And then the next one, Nat loves old wallpaper, vintage wallpaper, which is the same thing.
This is so cool.
So I used this stamp. I actually, I made this from a tile. I believe the person was in Spain. I was following them on Instagram and they posted it. And I loved it so much that I made a stamp out of it. And maybe this will be a future art foamies. I don't know. I have to keep cleaning it up and figuring out exactly how I want it, because I eventually want to print it on the wall. So that's where I'm at.
Very cool.
And then Nat does not like kale. Well, 9. Sarah likes kale in a fruit smoothie, which means I don't like kale. It has to be covered up with sugar and fruit and all things in order for me to actually drink it. You understand? So, yes.
That's funny.
And then Nat loves city life. Sarah was born in New York City. So I made this specific for this book.
I love this.
And I accidentally, when I was printing the side, did a thumbprint over here. So I just added.
You know, it's so funny when I shouted, I was like, wait a second. I don't remember doing that on the top and the bottom.
It's because I did like this. And I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but that's my thumbprint. So I was like, I can't leave that there. I have to do something. Oh, I did.
I love it. Aww.
And then the end cover.
Aww. This is so cool.
So this will be going home to you.
Oh my God, I can't wait. This is so beautiful.
And I love, so if you had it like sitting up, you see?
Yeah.
I love that, the sculptural thing about books. You could set it up, and I don't know. I just love this. This is my favorite.
I did not expect that. Like, you have this idea, and then you're like, I wonder what she's gonna make with that. But you don't know.
Yeah, you have to trust.
Exactly.
It's gonna be okay. And I respect you, you respect me, and we did it.
So that was our big reveal, man. We did, as you can tell, we didn't know what the other person did.
That was hard for us to keep that a secret. Because there have been days that we would do our art play dates, and the book would be like on my desk, and I'm like, oh, let me put this away.
I actually worked on my book while we were doing some of our play dates.
That's true. We did do that. Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, should we show it? And Sarah's like, no, Natalie, no. She didn't say it like that, but
you're gonna be surprised.
Exactly.
No spoilers.
I think that was like, so I don't know. I mean, it could be that no one else but us finds this interesting, but I found it was so enriching too, because it's like you get it in the mail, you open up the thing, you're like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then actually even to have it let sit, I mean, whether it be, because the outside world has been crazy, or because you had to think about how you want to approach it, or all of it together. Like, I thought it was the whole experience. It was like a long experience, right? Yeah. Prolonged, which was cool. The suspense.
The patience. We actually had patience,
I can't believe that. That's like patience. Like,
well, I don't use that often.
No, I mean, like in a dictionary, my name does not be written next to patience, It's not like patience, that's Natalie. It's like,
I always say this, it's like, I store my patience behind glass. So I have to get it out when it's an emergency.
Yes. I will buy a gift. And I should not buy gifts like too long before the recipient gets it, because I will be like, it will start like, I have something for you, to actually spilling the beans like right before I actually give it to you.
Yeah. Like, you'll like this. You've been wanting this forever.
So this was hard for us.
Yeah.
It's really hard, but it was worth it.
It was. You got me to cry, so.
I'm sorry.
On camera, so now this is going to be for everybody to see. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's a reaction. Hey, like it's good. I really love this. We got to do this again.
This was super fun. I want to do it again. We will do this again. We will think of something new, but we already have something we will talk about in our next episode.
Yes.
And that's our next collaboration.
Yes.
And that's coming in April.
Yes.
And that is?
We're not telling you. You have to wait.
Well, they do. Well, they will know a little bit before we do the ZoomCast.
That's true.
So you want to give them a hint? Because we're not patient. We have to spill the beans, right?
Okay, you give them a hint then.
Okay, the hint is we have something where you can work with us next month. It's a challenge. And we will post it soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will have our ZoomCast in the beginning of April, and we'll share why, how, and what we did so far.
Yeah.
And we might do this in live. Might.
No, no. You said we're going to do it live. Let's do it live. Hey.
Okay. We're going to do this live, and you can, if you want to, you don't have to, you can join us.
Yeah.
And then you can ask us questions at the end, and we can answer some of them, maybe.
Yes. Some of them.
Scary. If some of the questions, the ones that are not scary, I'm just kidding. So, I hope you enjoyed this first episode of our art collab with Sarah and Nat.
Nat and Sarah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.